The story is about a young Boy Scout growing up in North Wales, and it's called My Future Friend Johnny. In today's culture, they probably would have been accused of child abuse, accused of inflicting cruel and unusual challenges on a bunch of young Boy Scouts. But we were the 3rd Colwyn Bay Boy Scout troop, based in the seaside village of Old Colwyn on the North Wales coast. We wore the old gold and black colours of our troop proudly. We could take it. We could take anything that the Heron Water Scout leaders could hand out. The Heron Water leaders were an elite group, and I use that term with respect. They were responsible for organising and running training courses at the District Scout Camp on the grounds of the Coed Cork Estate in Bedderson Ross. It was a beautiful estate, a very large manor house overlooking a landscape park, a park that included a 5-acre lake known as Heron Water. It was fed and drained by several streams, the inlet stream opening up into a delta of stately bulrushes topped with snowy white fronds. As if by contrast, the exit stream was at the far end of the lake away from the house, and was through a dense, dark, foreboding swamp full of marsh willow and scrubby alder plants. Woodlands bordered the most of the rest of the lake, woodlands of broad-leafed deciduous trees, beech and sycamore, and ramrod straight ash that in the past was used to power the bows of Welsh archers, who played such a pivotal role in early British history. There was also a grassy area dotted with majestic, century-old oak trees. We camped beneath those oaks. One time we camped at Heron Water with other scouts from all over our district, boys from Penmaen Mawr and Lisfine, Rhos-on-Sea and Dolgarrog. There were also boys from Llanrwst and Llanfychen and Aberconwy and Llandudno. The Llandudno boys included a future friend, Johnny Williams, who would pop in and out of my life and enrich my life a number of times over the following years. The staff mixed us all up into patrols of 6, made up of boys from different villages, so that we were sharing our camping experiences with boys previously unknown to us. It was a bonding experience, cemented by the challenges that we were about to face. We were presented with a series of obstacles, each with its own unique difficulty, such as pitching a tent, easy, except we were blindfolded. Fording a wild stream using poles and ropes, no jumping allowed nor getting wet. Navigating our way through the swamp, again blindfolded, a pre-strung wire our only guide, and there were other equally bizarre assignments. We each took turns being the patrol leader for these tasks. My task was to get the patrol across the stream. It was about 10 foot across and running pretty fast. We found rope and some sturdy branches, a little rough and knotty, but relatively straight, and one small tree trunk, an ash tree trunk, stripped of its branches. It was about 1 inch in diameter and around 15 foot length. The task was actually really quite simple. We rigged up a bosun's chair with the sturdy branches as a pivot point, and swung the boys over on the end of that ash tree trunk, one at a time. The only problem was, how do you get the last person across? And that was me. But I had a card up my sleeve. My summer sports was athletics, and I was a pole vaulter, and the tree trunk made an ideal pole. A 10-foot stream was no obstacle for me, no obstacle at all. In fact, it was child's play. I made my approach, technique correct, pole thrust out horizontally, rock steady, eyes focused, speed building up to the max, and I planted my pole and I soared into the air. But my planted pole sank into the soft ground at the edge of the stream, and I slowed and then lost all momentum. So there I was, poised at the top of that tree trunk, midstream. No way forward and no way back. And so, to the derision of the watching Herrenwater staff, I slid slowly down, down, down into the rushing stream. But our final task was the one with the greatest importance, and my new friend Johnny was to be our leader. We had to help save the Ouslam. The Ouslam is a very rare bird, and finding a warm egg that could be brought back and incubated was essential for the preservation of the species. Our scout leaders had found such an egg, a single egg lying in a nest of twigs, built atop of an old life ring floating on Herrenwater Lake, about 12 foot from the shore. The egg actually resembled a goose egg, a dirty, nasty, filthy, barnyardy goose egg, and our task was to somehow safely collect this gross object. Unfortunately, Herrenwater Lake at that time was infested with flesh-eating piranha fish, so swimming out to the nest just wasn't practical. But we were fortunate in that the nest was below an overhanging branch, and there just happened to be a coiled rope nearby. Johnny quickly came up with a plan. He tied a noose at the end of the rope for his foot and threw it over the branch, and then asked us to lower him down to the nest. He planned to pick up the egg, and then we would pull him back up. It was a good plan, and it should have worked. It did at first. We lowered him down, and he grabbed the egg in one hand, and then held on to the rope with the other, and yelled for us to pull him up. Dutifully we did. But the rope got jammed in a fork in the branch, and he got stuck, and we just couldn't budge him. Ever resourceful though, he managed to get one arm over the branch to help pull himself up, just as we pulled on the rope. But to no avail. He was still stuck. We just couldn't budge him. And then on to plan B. Johnny told us to wait for his signal and then to pull really hard. And then Johnny, in a moment of supreme dedication, put that Ouslam bird's egg, that dirty, nasty, filthy, barnyardy egg, into his mouth. And then he reached up with both hands to grab the branch and nodded his head. Simultaneously, both he and the patrol pulled as hard as we could, and it worked. It worked too well. The rope suddenly came free. Johnny rapidly shot up, but his head crashed into the overhead branch, causing his mouth to close over that dirty, nasty, filthy egg, crushing it. And the sight of this poor lad with egg yolk and bits of dirty, nasty, filthy eggshell drooling out of his mouth was just too much for the patrol. Either in shock or mirth, we inadvertently let the rope go, and the rope, crushed egg, and Johnny then plunged down into that piranha-infested lake, obliterating the Ouslam bird's nest in the process. And we all just stood back and roared with laughter. Even the Herrenwater staff laughed. But then the look in Johnny's eyes as he came back up to the surface. Seeing that, we ran. Even the staff ran. I saw a lot of Johnny in the following years. We went to the same university down in Cardiff in South Wales. It wasn't planned actually, we just happened to bump into each other one day when we were down there. And then he got me a game with the Llandudno Rugby Club, and I managed to get a regular spot. So we were teammates together for several years when we were home on college vacations. He joined the Royal Navy as a navigator with the Fleet Air Arm, flying in reconnaissance jets, and we gradually drifted apart. I'm not sure where he is now, or even if he's still alive. But I'll always remember Johnny. I'll always remember him.
That's my friend Johnny on the right. He probably doesn't look like that now. I know I don't. But if you know of somebody who could have looked like that 50 years ago, please ask them to drop me a line.